All right, people, we're back. JV Wins Dogon SS here once again for another edition of Conscious Approach on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody for tuning in, checking us out, subscribing to the channel, leaving those comments, hitting that like button. We certainly appreciate it because, of course, as I always like to say, we don't take for granted the effort that it requires to offer up your digital currency. It means that you are receiving value in the content that you are getting, and we appreciate that very much. As someone who does not subscribe to 10% of the content that I consume, I know full well the effort and the value that you must perceive something to be in order to subscribe. So, in advance to anyone who has not done so, we thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. And to those who have already become members of the tribe, we salute you because we are doing it for you as always. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. So if you are in the car or if you're in the gym or if you're otherwise not able to check us out on YouTube, or if you just prefer to put on headphones and listen to audio, I completely understand that. We are now available on those platforms as well, just trying to be available in any and all places possible as we try to flesh this community out and keep things on the track as we kick this logical content and get things rocking and rolling. So those are the typical conscious approach disclaimers at the beginning of every stream. And so with those things out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off properly. First thing that we are going to talk about is Denzel Washington. Now, I believe this is the first time we've ever talked about Denzel on this channel, which is interesting because you would think by now he would have made his way here, but I don't know that he has. I gotta think about that and do some inventory on the content library. But I don't think we've done Denzel up to this point, which is monumental in and of itself. But Denzel and Spike Lee, they got a new movie out, Highest to Lowest, I think is the name of it. It's been getting good reviews. People have been talking about it, saying that it's a good movie. I have not seen it, but typical as things are with entertainment and these movies, people make a movie, then they go on shows, they do talk shows, and they do media, and they do press to promote the movie. So Denzel and Spike Lee have been doing press to promote this movie, Highest to Lowest, and they've been doing a series of interviews. One of the interviews went a little bit viral over the course of last week when Denzel was asked about cancel culture and whether he's concerned with it. The interviewer was asking him how he feels about it and whether he ever concerns himself with the prospect of being canceled. And Denzel dismissively dismissed the idea. He doesn't really acknowledge the existence of it. He doesn't worry about it too much. He's not too snuffed over cancel culture because to him, if you never signed up, you can't be canceled. So this says Denzel Washington not bothered about being canceled. Who cares? Denzel Washington has made it very clear that he doesn't care if the public chose to cancel him or not. Sitting down with Complex News alongside Spike Lee to discuss their new movie, Highest to Lowest, the legendary actor was asked whether he cared about being canceled. Making it clear that he doesn't lose sleep over what other people think about him, the legendary actor said, "Who cares what made public support so important to begin with? You can't lead and follow at the same time, and you can't follow and lead at the same time." After explaining he only follows his religion, Washington doubled down on his thought: you can't be canceled if you haven't signed up. Don't sign up. So here is a snippet of that interview in which Denzel dismisses the idea of him being canceled.
Do you guys consider being quote unquote canceled?
What does that mean? Canceled?
It means you lose public support.
Who cares? What made public support so important to begin with?
I guess because followers now are currency.
I don't care who's following. Okay? You can't lead and follow at the same time, and you can't follow and lead at the same time. I don't follow anybody. I follow the heavenly spirit. I follow God.
Amen.
I don't follow man. I have faith in God. I have hope in man. But look around. It ain't working out so well. Forget being followed. You can't be canceled if you haven't signed up. Don't sign up. Get me started. My chest hurt. Chest getting tight. Talking about it. I could care less.
All right. So let's see. So, is there anything else here? Washington's press run for his new movie has been filled with viral quotables. In a recent interview on Jake's Takes, Washington admitted that he doesn't care about winning prestige awards like the Oscars. I don't do it for Oscars. I really don't care about that kind of stuff. I've been doing it this I've been at this a long time. There's times when I won and shouldn't have won and shouldn't have won and won. That's the same thing, but I think I know what he means. Man gives the award, God gives the award, the reward. I'm not that interested in Oscars. People will ask me, well, where do you keep it? I'll say next to the other one. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. On my last day, I ain't going to do on my last day, it ain't going to do me a bit of good. In another interview, this time on ESPN, Washington gave his opinion on the world of sports commentators. Everybody's got an opinion. In fact, we live in a world of opinionaires. That's what I call them, opinionaires. All the shows are a bunch of guys, a couple of them that have played, but most of them who haven't, who have an opinion about something, who have an opinion about what something should be when they haven't done it. He added, those who can do, those who can't talk about those who can. Those who have no those who have know what they're talking about, those who haven't don't, period. Uh okay, so that's pretty much it. Those who have know what they're talking about, those who haven't don't. So you got to read it with the right cadence, otherwise it don't make sense.
Yeah, you got to do the Denzel cadence.
Yeah, you got to read it with the right cadence. So there, what do you think about Denzel talking about who cares about public support and you can't be canceled if you haven't signed up and all of that and all of that.
Uh, you know, bars, bars as usual. When Denzel goes on these press runs lately, I say in his latter years, he's known for dropping, as the article mentioned, quotables. But this one, he's been a lot more aggressive with his quotables. I don't know if he's reached enlightenment since he's found his spiritual balance in life, where he feels as though he's obligated to speak truths, or if this is just typical marketing, where, this time around, instead of acting when the actor says action, the director says action, he's acting now on podcasts. In either event, the words that he's mentioning are valuable here, in the sense that if you do run around here scared and tap dancing and all the above to avoid what current demand is for you to behave socially or whatever, if you're tap dancing to that and you're afraid of that, then you're not living your life if you're in fear of cancellation. So why even subscribe to the mob that's willing to change so long as societal norms change? And some of these new societal norms, I don't get down with. So whether people want to call it a, passing of time generation, humanity getting older and wiser, who knows, who cares? I was born in the generation I was born in. The social norms made me the person that I am today. And if social norms has evolved over time to things that I don't necessarily agree with, I'm not going to tap dance in fear, because I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to harm anybody. I just might have an opinion or a take or whatever, and I'm entitled to that. So moving around in fear doesn't serve you in that sense or any other. So yeah, if you subscribe to that, lifestyle where you're just living in fear, that's on you. But me personally, I'm with Denzel in the sense that, hey man, um, you have to sign up for that BS in order to be. You need a subscription in order to get a strike on that channel. And if I'm not subscribed to that, I don't give a damn. So, what are your thoughts, man, on Denzel Washington dropping some knowledge? What are your thoughts, bro?
I agree with him in principle. I definitely do. But see, Denzel is in the privileged position to have been able to establish himself well before such a thing as cancel culture came into existence. So I think for his generation of entertainers and those around his age range, I think talking like that is easy because you're kind of grandfathered in and you were kind of resting on a comfortable nest egg because you were able to build what you were able to build for yourself at a time that precedes the emergence of such a thing. So even though he speaks truth, because I agree with him in principle, I also think he speaks from a place of convenience because I think if he were trying to earn his bones in this generation and he hadn't already established himself, I don't know that he would be so reticent to be dismissive of the idea of cancel culture. I want to believe that he would because I want to believe in the notion of integrity and I want to believe in the notion of people living principled and not caring about these things. But, over the course of the last few years, I have been humbly disappointed to witness a lot of people who I did believe stand on business in some way, shape, or form bend the knee because they dare to utter an opinion that is disagreeable. And here they and I've seen these individuals who I thought were solid apologize and go on these contrition tours and say that they are going to go to therapy to learn how to better manage their feelings and their emotions. People who talk about how they need to go and figure out what's wrong with them, even though there's even though there's actually nothing wrong with them, they just have an opinion that people disagree with. Like I've seen people who aren't at the Denzel level, who I believe were 10 toes down,
Mhm.
put their foot in their mouth because they proclaim to be 10 toes down, and then when sharp hits the fan and the seat gets too hot,
Mhm.
they kind of reverse ship on that and they decide to placate the masses and they decide to um, you know satiate the insatiable desires of the internet trolls and the rest of the critics who demand contrition and for people to apologize because they don't perfectly align with the ideological rhetoric that they routinely envelop themselves in via the controlled machinations of their individual echo chambers.
Mhm.
So, I guess that's a fancy way for me to say Denzel, given the fact that he started his career 40 years ago or whatever, well before there was no such thing as cancel culture, and he's become one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. He's somewhat too big to fail from that standpoint because of what he's already established. And I agree with him in spirit, and I like the fact that he is saying this, but I unfortunately suspect that it's not very much of a replicatable model for most of these entertainers coming up in today's age. Because if you want to be successful, you're going to have to play the game, and you truly have to be someone who does not care. You really, really have to be someone who does not care. All of that stuff that he was saying, if you're not in a position such as him in which you're grandfathered in, you really have to not care, and you really have to not be beholden to all of the industry games and standards that you have to abide by in order to reach a certain level of success. Because eventually you're going to say something that's going to make people mad. And if you really don't care, then what Denzel said rings true. But if you know deep down inside that if the seat gets too hot, you might have to reverse on some of that stuff. It's easier said than done, unless you're as well established as he is. So I feel like he can talk like that because at the end of the day, hypothetically speaking, let's say Denzel says something that gets people mad. Let's say Denzel loses his mind and pulls a Kanye. Okay, so maybe maybe he isn't making movies anymore, or maybe he is because he's got the resources to finance his own movies. He doesn't need to depend on studios or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe he just goes away and you never hear from him again, but he's sitting on a pile of money and he doesn't care because his life is good into perpetuity. So he's in a position in which, whether what he is saying is true or not, he can sidestep some of the damage that comes along with actually being someone who doesn't care. And unfortunately, in this day and age, most of these people who say they don't care, deep down inside, know there's a limit to how much they don't care. Because if it got hot enough, unfortunately, they'd pull a Joey Swole. Speaking of what we talked about last week, and they would bend the knee, So, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a contextual situation. And on principle, I agree with what he said, but I also think he's in a place in which, luckily enough for him, he can speak in that manner. But some of these young entertainers coming up who want to be famous and successful, uh, e- as much as they may say they don't care about cancel culture, the truth is they do, because they need the machine to get them where they need to go. And the only way that you can be removed from reliance on the machine to get you where you need to go is if you really didn't care. And for most of these entertainers, in my opinion, they want the fame and the success more than they want to, you know, be dismissive of the machine. And you can't have both. You have to choose one. And I think when push comes to shove, most of these people are going to choose the fame and the attention.
Yeah, fair points. The only thing I would say to that is, you know, even people in his generation that have the social capital, and they're chilling on the top of the food chain. If they have the wrong kind of scamper, they can't. There's a population of the internet that does cancel them. See, that's the thing. There also has to be like some type of qualification, because there's pockets of people who did cancel Joey Swoll, and he's done to them. But then there's other people that's going, who cares or whatever. But he's still going to have that tag running around on him. It's kind of like having an internet felony. And so it's just like, yeah, man, but you did that though. Hey, man, that's for instance, I saw some clip where Ray Lewis was giving an inspirational speech, and somebody in there in the comment section, they alluded to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be people that never forget. There's always going to remind you, and it's kind of like this internet stigma that follows people around, because these people aren't genuinely ever really, for the most part, canceled. I say a large, over 90 some odd % of the people that do get the cancellation label, they'll still have jobs and gigs afterwards. But then, Bill Cosby was too old to be doing jobs and gigs. Hell, he wasn't doing jobs and gigs anyway. Mm-hmm. But everybody lovable, Huxtable, got eradicated. Now there's still Bill Cosby defenders and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. So it's going to be a polarizing conversation, but the cancellation label still remains. And so if Denzel ever had himself a situation where his name became scandalized, they were definitely brushing up on his name with the Dittler situation. But he, for the most part, evades all. He is I don't know, he's got it like that, in Hollywood, where I know on one hand he seems straight up and down, but these people also have PR departments and other things, equalizers and stuff like that on the back end. So all that stuff to say is that he can still get a semblance of cancellation in today's modern society. Will it really impact much of his life, since he's already where he's at? Is the stuff that you alluded to? Not really.
That's the thing. I think that's how most. Well, I don't know. I would say that's how I evaluate the notion of cancellation. Is what is the potential lifestyle? Yeah, like what is the potential direct impact to your standing and your livelihood? So yeah, but I hear what you're saying though.
Yeah, no, 100, 100. And I also say this, um, Denzel doesn't really say anything anyway.
Exactly. I was gonna
That's
say that.
that's
Yeah.
cancelable.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
he totes all the lines.
Yeah.
So if there's something that comes up socially, he's on the side of the social algorithm. And then he's going to give you a hot take and a quotable on that. And then everybody's going to run on the internet and repost it. And Denzel's this hero.
Yeah.
So, will he have a moment where he actually, put a flag in the sand? Doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's ever going to go against the grain enough to be canceled in the first place. He swims with the current, not against it. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Denzel. I mean, I agree with the principle of it, like you said, man. I agree with the principle of not living in fear, man, and truth has to be spoken, and you can't go around here self censoring and avoid a truth that some people need to hear.
Yeah.
Others are going to get upset and try to cancel you, but there's somebody out there that's on the same wavelength as you, and they needed to hear that message to get them on the straight and narrow, or the perceivable straight and narrow, because everybody has a perspective, everybody has an opinion, but there's some people that needed to hear something to get them to be balanced. So if that requires cancellation or any remnants or semblance to it, then so be it. We can't be moving around in fear, because this is literally what they were talking about in 1984,
Yeah.
where the population is going to be correcting themselves, dropping certain words in a vocabulary and lexicon, and all of those things are happening right now. I mean, we're living it every day in 4K. So yeah, there has to be some pushback on that, so humanity could have somewhat of a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I agree with Denzel. I'm with you, man. But at the same time, you can pop
Yeah.
stuff like that when you,
Yeah.
man.
That's what I'm. That's like that. I was literally going to say that. Like, I don't follow everything he says, but he seems to typically, when he speaks out publicly, say the very thing that is consistent with the mass narrative.
Yes.
So yeah, like you can say I don't care about being canceled, but you also never really have a polarizing opinion either.
Correct.
So people who talk like that, you know what I'm saying? Like people who say I don't care about being canceled, and I don't care about what the public has to say, and I only follow God, and I don't care about man, and all of that kind of stuff. Like when you speak with that kind of conviction, you would think that it also came within the vessel of a person who from time to time says uncomfortable things. But Denzel never says uncomfortable things. So that's why I feel like, he took advantage of the moment to talk about how principally, he's above that because he doesn't recognize the existence of it. But at the same time, would he ever have to answer for it? Perhaps not, because he does tend to be quite consistent with the mass narrative whenever he does speak out on what's going on. Like there's never an instance in which Denzel goes against the grain and says something that could potentially polarize people. So, it is what it is. But ultimately, I do believe that he is in an advantageous position in which, given his career history and the fact that he was able to establish all of this stuff well before cancel culture became a thing, he's somewhat impervious to it because it's like he doesn't even play by its rules. Everybody, people who have come in the generations after him, of course, are forced to choose. I'm either going to play by these rules or not. And my opinion is that most of them choose to play by those rules. Even some of the ones, even a lot of the people who say I don't care, the people who say I don't care what people think about me, I don't care about this or that, I'm always going to speak my mind. Even most of the people who say all the right things still end up playing by the rules. So, it just goes to show you that there's always a limit to a person's conviction when they are seeking a certain level of money, fame, notoriety, and all of that good stuff. There's always a limit to it. You do have some people who mean it and they live by it, like Dave Chappelle, for example. He means it. But I think most people can say that kind of stuff. But deep down inside, when faced to choose between this shiny object that they've always pursued and being 10 toes down on principle, I think a lot of people opt for the shiny object. And there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, the last thing that I'll say is I hope people don't think that Denzel Washington doesn't have an opinion that they probably don't agree with. See, that's the thing. He's been smart enough to not utter such opinions publicly, but trust and believe to all y'all Denzel lovers out there and all y'all people who think Denzel is down for the cause. Trust me, he probably has several opinions on several subject matter that you probably aren't going to like. You just don't know about it because he hasn't said it. So think about that whenever you are getting your Twitter fingers ready to go out to jump onto the internet and cancel somebody for expressing a disagreeable point of view. Your favorite artist, your favorite musician, your favorite movie star probably has an opinion that you don't like and you just don't know it yet. So just cut people some slack and give people grace when it comes to all of this internet stuff and jumping online to want to express how someone needs to go away and hide because they said something that you don't like. But overall, I agree in principle with Denzel, and probably not gonna watch this movie. I'll wait until I get it on pirate or something.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: the population has been conditioned at this point. The people that would love to cancel always have their cancellation stamp in their hand. Waiting for the post to come, the right kind of post to come by so they can stamp canceled on it. Those people aren't going anywhere. They're going to beget children, and those children will beget children. And it's only going to intensify, I'm sure, so long as these social media things continue to develop and capitalistic psychosis continues. And I'll tell you this: what will always remain true is the truth. And whether that's your truth or who knows, but just stand on something, man.
Yeah.
And don't let the mob masses, the NPCs, dead internet theory bots control your thoughts. And because that's what it's really doing. You start to censor your own thoughts, and then you might move different after that. So, don't let these things penetrate you like that. Have a mind of your own, like we always say, and don't let the masses try to trick you out your spot. Yeah. So, cancel culture has always been something that I was in favor of for people that I don't give a damn about. And in other situations where it's like, come on, man, y'all gonna cancel this guy over this? I don't even care about the person or just neutral. And I was like, come on, man, goddamn, people can't say something misogynistic anymore. Damn. What's the world coming to? Man, you live and you learn, man. But let's not go for the trap. Who gives a damn what they think?
Hey, I'm with that, man. Listen, if you ever want to get some, if you do want to, hang out with some truthers who are going to steer you in the right direction, just stay over here.
Yes,
you don't need to jump around the internet trying to find your tribe. Your tribe is right here.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? In the comment section, y'all can say whatever the hell y'all want. we're not here to censor y'all, man. So give your takes. We'd love to hear them, man.
Yeah, for sure. Shouts out to Denzel, man. Denzel's cool. I don't really have an issue with Denzel, but I do think that he kind of gets to have his cake and eat it too. It takes like that. I will say that. But in principle, I stand with him in the dismissiveness, in the dismissal of such a thing, because people got to be able to think for themselves, and we're definitely in the midst of a worldwide psyop in which people are being brainwashed, quite literally, I believe, into not thinking for themselves.
This is scary stuff, man.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.